This is a 1934 Aetna 4154BW TRF two-band AM shortwave tube radio. It has 4 tubes, no power transformer, and an Art Deco styled wood cabinet. These radios were sold through Walgreens Drug Company, with manufacturing typically handled by third parties. It's in relatively good shape for its 92-year age. It has both knobs. The back panel appears complete. The cabinet is decent with no major damage evident, but looks like it's been painted at some point in its life. It has a power cord, but I believe they originally had resistor line cords, so we'll have to see if any modifications were made. We will investigate this relatively rare tube radio and hopefully repair it to working condition. So if this interests you, stay tuned. Alright, I thought we'd bring Binky in for another quick appearance to talk a little bit about Aetna radios. So, Aetna was the exclusive house brand for the Walgreens Drug Company back in the day, from the early 1930s through the late 40s. And Walgreens was based in Chicago and followed the common practice in the era of having local manufacturers build their radios under their private label. The Aetna radios were produced by manufacturers like Detrola, Belmont, Wells Gardner. I guess there's a bunch more. The name Aetna was inspired by the mystical Mount Etna in Greece, and the theme was frequently reflected in the radio's aesthetics, like the mountain dial that some of the 30s models featured, which was a colorful backlit dial which prominently displayed the mountain silhouette. The brand covered everything from the basic 4-tube midget or cube radios, priced as low as $5.99 in 1941, to more sophisticated 6-tube tombstone models with shortwave and police bands. While the 30s focused on Art Deco wood cabinets, later 1940s Aetna models like the 505 transitioned to bakelite and were more standardized All-American 5 configurations. And the Aetna radios are prized today for their visual appeal, and the ones with the detailed graphics on the dome dials. So I don't know how many of these were made, but we do have a schematic, so we'll be able to get into it, and we'll be back. All right, let's get into this radio. Oh, and before I forget, I just wanted to mention early this morning I watched the men's team USA hockey win gold, and that was one of the best games I've ever seen. Probably second to the one I saw as a young lad back in 1980 when the U.S. defeated the Soviets. So congrats to them, and actually the women's team too also won gold, both defeating our northern friends in Canada. So anywho, let's check out the radio. And this is actually my first TRF radio
He's just a little guy
I've ever messed with. And TRF tuned radio frequency, and they don't have intermediate frequencies, don't have oscillator coils. They just tune the radio signal right off the air. And Supposedly they're not that great because of the, you can imagine the wide bandwidth and station crossover that would make a radio not so great a performer. But I don't know, with not as many AM radio stations out there, maybe it won't be as bad as they say these are. I don't know. We'll see. So, the innards, I gotta say, this is the cleanest radio I have opened up in some time. Just very slight dust. I was thinking about having Jeannie snap her fingers and take this out of the case, but the last time she did that, it was a bad mouse deal. But I'll have her give it a try now. Go ahead, Jeannie. All right. Thank you, Jeannie. And this time, knock on wood, I haven't looked at the underside yet, but I don't think we have mouse house to deal with. And yeah. Just a little dusty. Let's see what the front looks like. Yeah. Speaker, real nice shape. So let's flip it over on its side and see what the innards look like. I guess that'll do temporarily. Wow, not much there. And she definitely been worked on. Got big power resistor there. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 electrolytics. Where the heck is the schematic? I don't remember. How many electrolytics? 1, 2, 3. I only see. I'll post the schematic in a sec, but I only see 1, 2, 3 electrolytics. Interesting. And I had said in the intro that I thought it had a resistor line cord, you know, the old curtain burner deals. Oh, crap, here's another electrolytic. Huh. But anyway, the reason I thought that is because on the schematic it had two different part numbers for a 220 or a 110, so I thought it might be different resistances. But anyway, this is a pretty neat, I would say, neat job. We'll have to do some investigating, and this thing might actually work. Look for some date codes on the electrolytic, see when this is done. They look, if I had to guess, yeah, maybe the 1980s. But let me take a closer peek and we'll be right back. Alrighty. So I spent some time last night going through the radio, and I draw everything out. Like I've shown before, that's a good way to learn your radio, and then when you need to replace parts, if there's not a diagrammatic view of the bottom chassis parts, you can easily identify stuff. So, anyhoot, found quite a bit going on with this radio. So I tested all the tubes, and the rectifier tube, the 25Z5, is very, very weak. And luckily, I got a new one of those. And the 6C6 is weak, but I think it'll work. That's our detector tube. And the cathode resistor on it is open. I can't get a measurement on it. It's in parallel with the capacitor. That could be the problem. I'm going to disconnect it and check it just to make sure. But if that's bad, that could possibly be why that... actually, it's not a 6C6. It should be, but there's a 77 tube in there, which is a compatible one. All right, what else? So the volume pot should be 15K, and it is, I think it was 2 meg. Oh, now it's measuring differently, but I guess depending on how it's hooked up, but it's way, way above 15K, and it's very gravelly, tight. Possibly could take it apart and clean it. We'll investigate that. What else? Oh, the tuning cap. Flapping in the breeze, the bushings are all gone. Usually, when they're bad, I mean, there's pieces of it left. I don't know if someone took it apart, took all the pieces out, and never put the bushings back in. I don't know. And finally, when I was going through it, I counted, I think, 6 capacitors. There should be electrolytics. There should be 4, and the other 2 are line dropping capacitors. And I was right, it did have a resistive line cord. So they used 2 electrolytics with the negatives connected together, so it's a non-polarized cap. It'll work either way. And they used 233s, which gives a value of about 15.5 microfarads, and it should, that's an awful high value. That'll let loose a lot of voltage, and it should be in the neighborhood of 8. So I don't know. They did a nice, neat job on the repairs. I don't know quite what's going on. Usually, when someone does a neat job like that, they would have replaced the volume pot and the bad tubes and whatnot, and maybe just someone started on it and didn't finish it. And I don't know. Or possibly someone who didn't know what they were doing started doing it. But usually when it's something like that, you got a hack job of poorly soldered components and whatnot. So let me prop it up on its side, and we'll just take a quick peek at the underside. Alrighty, so this is a little flyby close-up of the innards of this thing. And this big resistor is on the filament string. It's 100 ohms, and we'll look on the schematic in a second. It calls for 185 ohms, so I mean, they did a nice job of soldering the stuff together. And this is the cathode resistor for the 6C6. That is potentially bad, and our electrolytics, and I think the date codes on those 0515 and 0325, maybe 2005 15th day or something.
That doesn't make sense.
Maybe not, I don't know. I don't think it's 5th month 2015, because that other one would be 3rd month of 2025. I don't think that's right. So here's our 2 capacitors soldered together for our voltage droppers, and they look, I mean, everything's neat. Nice, neat job. I just don't know why they chose such a high value. So we'll take a look at the schematic and maybe figure some stuff out. So we'll be right back. This is our schematic, and you can see it has different part numbers for different voltage, 220 or 110. So that's what made me think it was that resistive line cord. But it's a pretty simple schematic. And here's our dropping resistor for the filament line. And 185. They have 100. So on here is where they have the capacitors in series to do our dropping for the well, let's see, actually that would be before, that would be right here before the filament string line dropper. So, and let's see where this is, that cathode resistor that I can't get a measurement on, that I think is bad. So we'll check that. And there's a website that's vintage-radio.com, where you can download this dropping resistor capacitor calculator, and for 122 line volts, and our heater string is, it's more like 72 point something, but we'd want it a little bit lower to keep our tubes a little cooler. But any hoot, that gives us around an 8 microfarad dropping capacitor. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bypass that on the power up. We'll power it up with the variac and see what kind of voltage it needs to run, and we'll do some figuring from there. So I got to fix a few things, that put some bushings in that tuning cap, and replace the tube and check that volume pot. So I got some stuff to do, so we'll be back. Okay, first thing we're going to do is put the tuning capacitor bushings in, and they look like they're just regular old, I think it's 1/4 inch. Fits on the little nut there, and I got 3 of them. I looked through my stash of rubber grommets, so hopefully that won't be too bad. Sometimes those tuning capacitors have a ground strap soldered to the frame, which makes this kind of difficult, but I think there's just one wire coming out of it, so I'll get that in and we'll be back. Alright, I almost jinxed it. There's no ground strap, but there's wires on the bottom that fortunately have enough give that we could tilt that up a bit, and we'll pop our grommets in there and hopefully get it back together. These front 2 shouldn't be Too bad, knock on wood, the one on the back may be a little harder to get to, but pop them in, and there's a washer that goes on top, and then the washer on the bottom, and the little screws. So hopefully we'll have good luck. We got our grommets in, and everything is nice and secure now, so it wasn't too bad getting those in there. There was just enough slack on the wires. You could pull that up, and just took tweezers and just kind of worked these in there, and wasn't too bad at all. So on to the next thing. All right, on to our cathode resistor here. I desoldered it, and we'll check it, and it is indeed open. So I don't know, like I said, if that would have taken out or severely damaged our tube, because our 66/77 tube is weak, very weak, but I think it might work. So let me get a resistor in there real quick. All right, we got the resistor out, and it's red, green tip, orange dot, 25K, and interestingly, this one has been replaced. And the person that did it does the same technique that I do. They wrap these little loops on the end. So maybe it was a ancient relative that did this radio. I don't know. But anyway, I don't have a 25K. I got a 27K and a 24K. I think I'm going to go with the 27. Give it a little, well, maybe the 20. I don't know. I'll measure them both, see which is closer to 25, and we'll get her in. I went with the 27K. The 27Ks I had measured about 26 and a half. The 24K measured 23 and a half. So they're both 1,500 ohms off, which is well within 10% tolerance there. So we'll get on. I think we'll check out the volume switch. Okay, here's our volume pot. And it's always a good idea to make it easier to put a little tag on your wires so you don't mess anything up putting them back together. So I know that the center tap goes down to ground down here, and I just labeled this one on that post. So we'll get that off, and we'll see if we can clean it and get it working, but I doubt it. Oh, and I just wanted to mention, 1930, this is 1934. This is the oldest radio I've ever worked on. And the wire is just, it's like brand spanking new. It's really unbelievable. So let's get that apart and see what we got. All right, we got the pot off, and believe it or not, as crusty as this thing is, it was working. Okay. I tested it before filming it, and the switch did work. Huh. All right. Well, anyway, there's some tabs on here. So we'll bend it, pull it apart, and see if we have access to the back side of the switch and see what that element is. Sometimes these older pots are just paper. So we'll see. Let me get the camera set up. All right, I'll try to keep this in frame as I work on it here. So let's see, what's this switch made by? Patent, USA. Is that DRC, CRC? I don't know. Let's get her apart. Try not to stab my finger like I just did. I don't think I've taken this particular brand of pot apart before. But it's there's two. All right. And it comes readily apart. I try to do as minimal bending on these tabs as possible. So let's see what the innards look like. All right. So we can get to clean the switch, it looks like. And it's awful dirt. Oh, so yeah, it's paper. So there's a metal band that contacts this paper element, and as this turns around, the metal band contacts the paper and gives us our resistance. From what I can see, the paper doesn't look that bad. I will try cleaning it just for giggles to see if it works, but I highly doubt it. So let me get into it and check back. It dawned on me that since I measured across that resistive element that it was 2K, that all the cleaning in the world isn't going to fix it. So I dug up I had one 15K pot, and normally it's not that big of a deal, but with this type of radio, we'll look at the schematic here. The volume control goes across the or from the antenna, I guess, up to the cathode of the RF tube. So this value of 15K across there is probably important. I also dug up a 25K and a 10K. That the 25K has a switch on it, so, but I doubt it's going to work. I don't know, but we got the 15K in, and we'll jump her across the switch, and I'll get it ready to power on. All right, we're all set to fire this thing up. I got a jumper wire across the switch. We have a meter, going to monitor our B+, and I have these probes. That little window on the top left there will monitor the filament across the 25Z5, and we'll try to keep that under 25 volts. And our B+ should be 105, I believe. So let's sneak in here. Fire it up. Some power. And we'll slowly bring it up to I don't know how old those electrolytics are, so we'll bring it up a little bit slow. So that's 10 volts AC, 20 volts AC, 30 volts AC. Just starting to get a little glow on the bulb. I don't know if the camera's it should pick it up now. So 45, no B plus. Maybe we need some more voltage. That's 50 volts AC. And 55. 60 volts. I hope I got... I always forget to do something when I fire these up and record, so... Everything looking good. No super bright bulbs, so hopefully no shorts. 75 volts. AC, still no B plus. 80 volts. Huh. $85 volts. $90 volts. Uh, 95. Let's. Oh, there's the B plus, I think. Our 25 volt filament. It's still pretty low. Let's give it 100 volts. B plus slowly coming up. Let's give it a bulb. And let's see what's the meter say. Oh, we're still bulb limited quite a bit. Oh, B plus coming up good. And it's 105 AC. 110, but just with 2 bulbs. I don't hear any noise. Oh. Oh. It's buzzing. Or... I'll be damned. That's at the bottom of the dial, I think. Yeah. That should be the score is 670. Well, that's coming in good. So our voltages are still low. Let's give it a bulb here.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmares today by visiting us online at TRA.com.
So B plus should be 105. Our filament is still low. We can still go up a bit.
Tax relief advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to 104.3 The Score, powered by Circus Sports.
Boy, that comes in good.
Of The Score, Circus Sports. Sports betting the way it should be, with no
Let's. That should be WGN. That comes in pretty good. I think that's WBBM. Just kind of going in order.
Aircraft carrier strike group. It's not clear that they would succeed, but you could certainly
So
overcome the missile
that should be
systems
WLS 890.
in
Wow.
their direction. You mentioned the
There's no
aircraft carrier-
crossover or anything. Let's see if it gets my local station. Oop. I better get off that. That's music. I'll be damned. So, let's see. We can still go up voltage. Actually, let's just give it a bulb. So right at 105, we're at about 115 line volts. Well, that's about perfect. So that 33 microfarad deal in series for our voltage dropper, and actually that when I went over the schematic, misspoke. That just feeds the filaments, and the direct goes to the direct line voltage goes to the rectifier tube. So that's interesting. We'll have to go over the schematic, look at a couple things, because that are in the series resistor on the schematic is 185 ohms, I think, and the one in here is only 100 ohms. But, well, okay, so with the dropping capacitors, that's probably why it's a lower value. So that is pretty freaking impressive. I had no idea this thing could sound so good. I thought it was just going to be, a lot of crosstalk, not clear. And supposedly these radios need good antennas, and I just got a crappy 8 or 10 foot one. So I need to get a volume potentiometer permanently in there. The one I have in there doesn't have an on-off switch. I don't know if I'll have to look around and see if there's a something else I can take it off, take the switch off of and switch it. But anyway, we'll be back. Okie dokie, we're back to the schematic. I need to go over a few things. This radio was definitely a learning experience for me, and I made a few blunders along the way, so I know some of you that are in the know are probably shouting at your screen and saying, what the hell is wrong with you?
What the hell is wrong with you?
But anywho, the biggest major blunder is I assume the resistance line cord dropped the radio line voltage entirely to the whole radio, particularly because the B plus was so low, just 105 volts. In fact, it's they just lower it for the tube filament string, and I dug up a pic of the box on one of these deals, and as you can see, there's 3 wires there, and one goes to the filament string, and one obviously goes to the rectifier tube. So I apologize for my ignorance on that and dumbassery.
Dumbass!
So the second thing I messed up, relatively minor, was the adding up the filament voltages. And it should have been 63 volts or 62, depending on where you want to be. And I don't know where my brain was, but it didn't. I didn't add it up right. But anyway, as long as we're on this slide, I plugged in the values for how they have the person that fixed this radio set up with the dropping capacitors, and that 100 ohm resistor gave a 30 volt drop, and the 16 microfarad capacitor would have dropped the supply voltage down to 105. So in essence, he had it set up for, I guess the line voltage he had was 105 volts, so that's why there was such a high value capacitor in this deal. And this, I thought, was, since the radio had been worked on, not original, I thought that was a a dropping resistor in the filament string, but that's actually the value of the resistance line cord. So I hope I've been able to make things about as clear as mud, and clear up some of the errors I made. And just one other thing I wanted to say: if you wanted to make a high value, like in the microfarad range nonpolar capacitor, those can be a little pricey. So you, like they did with this radio, you put two capacitors joined together. You have the plus and the plus on the outside, and the two negatives connected together, and that'll give you a non-polar cap to use. So they had the two 33s with the negatives together. And I guess the one downside I can see to using capacitors, if something was to fail, it would fail shorted, likely, I would think, and that could blow up your radio. But I mean, I guess if you use a resistor, that could fail shorted too. So I don't know if anyone has any stories about making a dropping capacitor and it failing and wrecking the radio. But anywho, that's about it. Oh, and I did. I wasn't able to find a switch to fit that potentiometer I have, but I did happen to find one online, relatively cheap. And since I don't have much money in this radio, since all the components were essentially replaced, I just ordered one. So it's about ready to be put back together when I get that, and we'll go over a few things and finish her up. I got my Mallory switch for the Mallory pot that I have, and it's kind of slick. This is the back cover of that pot. You just slide this down, or pull this tab up, and this slides down, and you can pop in your switch. But I got to looking closer at the switch, and let me get the close-up camera here. Well, that's awful freaking close to the switch that's in there. The rivets line up, and the switch looks the same, and it's got these little dimples on the back for the wire to go in. So what I think I'm going to do is use the this blank cover pops out, and I trace the hole there, is use this, attach it to this switch, That'll be contingent on being able to clean that switch so it works. And then I'll drill the rivets out and replace them with screws. And we can keep the original switch, and then we can use this switch for another pot. And the pot that I happen to have, this old Mallory, it's a wire wound 15K, and I believe these radios use the wire that's so hard to say. The wire wound potentiometers. So I'm going to drill out these rivets and see if we can end up using this switch, assuming I can see down in there to get those contacts clean. So let's check that out. We got her apart, and man, this is nice and easy to clean. I got contact here, contact there. Just put some deoxide on there, and I'll just show you with the ohm meter hooked up before we clean it. Of course, it's working now. See, it can be wonky. So we'll clean that with some deoxide, and I think we'll be good. And as I've shown many times before with my little micro brush trick, I just like to put a little dabble dewy on there, and let's see. I don't want to bend that, but we'll just exercise this a little bit. All right. So I like to get a little piece of paper and I'll try to do this on camera. All right, let me pause this a sec. Okay, let's try that again. So I just like to dab a little deoxide type solution on there on your paper and just kind of run it back and forth, and then we'll slide the contact across a few times. And you can see the dirt on there, so we'll clean that a couple times, make sure we got it nice and clean, and should be good. Okay, I ended up using the switch that I bought. This switch actually differed in dimensions more than I thought. It would have been a real nightmare trying to get that to work. So we just used the switch we bought, and this one we can maybe use on another radio if there's a bad similar switch. So that I think wraps it up. We'll put it together and have a few final thoughts. Okay, we got it all put back together and working good, sounding good. And a few final thoughts. Well, first of all, the cabinet, I'm not 100% sure that this is paint on here. It might just be really darkened, aged lacquer or shellac, whatever it might be, but whatever it is, it's going to come off. So it didn't really take a whole lot of work to get working, just a bad cathode resistor on the detector tube. Well, the rectifier tube was bad too, and the volume pot was bad. And we replaced the grommets on the tuning cap, but not too bad. It was a fun one to fix. And and the previous owner did the capacitor and power resistor for the filament dropping the filament for the voltage. And that was set up for a very low line voltage of 105 volts, which was kind of weird. And another thing I just noticed, I didn't notice this the first time, but the tuning cap is, I believe that's in meters. It's not, in kilohertz. So a lot of the old radios had them like that, so I can't really tell what the accuracy of the dial is to figure out the math of where the station should be. But when we went through it, it was close enough. And this thing really surprised me. My first TRF radio, it was turned out to be a lot better performer than I thought it would be. And it's a nice, neat little radio. It was a fun repair. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.